15, 2026 meeting, hi Lynn, of the Project Review Board. The three items on the agenda tonight, we have a continuation of a public hearing for Maeve Woods off Harper's Trail. That will continue that public hearing. It's potentially up for final approval as well. Norway Savings Bank for a design review certificate and a concept review for a 12-lot subdivision at 1 Wardtown Road. And before Kyle gives us an information exchange, I want to thank Linda Berger, who served on the Project Review Board for several years, and she has recently retired. So we thank her for all that. Kyle?
So pretty quick info exchange. Topics reviewed by the planning board last month. We continued our discussion of design review. So we took a bunch of the PRB feedback that had been discussed and that some of you sent over. We talked through some of those comments and how to implement some of those into the text. So with that, we're probably going to planning board's probably going to take August off, so we have some staff time to do some more back-end work on design review, getting legal review, setting up the public comment period and things like that for the designations of the properties. So hopefully we can wrap it up in the fall. And then the other item they reviewed was a change. I think we mentioned this last time because they had worked on it at the meeting before as well. A change to the net residential acreage definition to take parking out of the question is something that's deducted from net residential acreage in multifamily projects. So they ended up recommending that change to council. So that'll be going up for adoption in the next month or so. Staff approvals, we didn't have any staff review board meetings since the last month. I think we might have had a couple of small sign modifications on a couple of businesses on South Route 1, and I think Tuscan Bistro had just submitted for a slight modification to their existing signage, but nothing more than that, so not much to report there.
Any questions for Kyle? I also should have acknowledged that we have a quorum tonight. There are, as I said, Linda is no longer on the board, and Lynn is with us by Zoom. First item on the agenda is Jackson Built, I'm sorry, approval of the minutes from the June 17 meeting.
I move we approve the minutes as presented.
Any discussion? Second, Dan. Thank you. All in favor? Lynn?
Aye.
Unanimous. Thank you, Sharon. Jackson Built, Kyle, why don't you give us a review of that and explain how the public hearings was continued?
Yeah. So the applicant had submitted the application for their kind of complete application submittal last month for review. There were a few outstanding comments after that application submission. Just for quick catch up, anyone new listening or tuning in, this is a 4-lot proposed subdivision, be considered a minor subdivision off of Beach Hill Road on Harper's Trail. So go to the actual subdivision plan here. So just for some quick frame of reference, there's 2 existing single-family home lots currently on Harper's Trail. And then after those 2 lots, you would start the proposed subdivision with the road being extended. So the applicant had a lot of the submission requirements in last time, but there were a few things left. There were some notes that staff had comments on things that needed to be amended and kind of cleaned up on the recording plan. So this is the modified recording plan that I sent out to the board earlier today. With all of the cleanup that we had been looking for. It's got the surveyor stamp now, and a couple of the notes have been corrected based on those comments. So we're looking good in terms of this plan. And then the other kind of large area that was kind of left incomplete last month was the conversation around stormwater management. The applicant submitted a revised stormwater plan, so that was also in the revision that I sent out to the board earlier and posted. So basically, previously, I'll let Jason talk through it a little more, but there's a little more in-depth stormwater management on each lot now, going from an infiltration kind of strategy to a detention strategy with some bigger swale areas called out on each of the 4 lots. And one of the big comments that we had last time was that the proposed stormwater management last time didn't capture anything from the road, the extended portion of the road, and now it does. In the stormwater management report, the applicant has shown that the post-development condition will be lower peak flow rates than the pre-development condition. So I sent this over to our peer review engineer. They've taken an initial look at it. They haven't gotten their official comments over yet, but I had a call with them earlier today, and they seem to think that, in general, the overall concept and direction looked pretty good, and that the comments they were going to have would be pretty minor, just cleanup details here and there. So at this point, staff is comfortable on the stormwater piece, just having a condition of approval if it gets to that point, just to have that conversation and a couple modifications made.
And you had a placeholder for that?
Yeah, so I've actually written the condition in there now. I think it's for F. On the original staff
Yeah, yeah.
report, it was a placeholder. On the revised one I sent out earlier, I put the language in there.
Can you make that full screen?
Oh.
It's feeding back. Yeah, perfect.
A couple other things, talk through some of the conditions that we added since last time. So along the lines with the stormwater, one of the things that we just recommended clarifying through a condition and then some follow-up amendment would be to make sure that the homeowners association bylaws clarifies that the stormwater features on the site on each of the house lots aren't going to be disturbed, and that the association has access to enter those lots to provide maintenance to the stormwater features. I know there's some general language in there now about the association maintaining stormwater management in general throughout the subdivision, but probably be worth a little more targeted language there just to clarify. And then there was also a conversation with the fire chief and the applicant about the idea of using the fire cistern on Lot 4, which the chief ended up being okay with. I think you just want to add in a couple of conditions of approval to make sure that's all done cleanly and how we'd like to see it. So number 5 in the conditions talks about the applicant being responsible for filling and testing the cistern when it's initially put in. And then we would also need to have an easement agreement between the applicant and the town for the town to access the cistern down Harper's Trail with any emergency vehicles to be able to access it. Outside of that, at this point, staff doesn't really have any remaining comments. The road details are kind of all in place now. The existing portion of the road, the improvements there to bring those up to the subdivision standard have been added to the plan detail sheets, and that's part of it. One of the conditions is just to verify that those recommendations in that road assessment report that the applicant provided last month are done as part of this prior to any occupancy being given. So there's really no concerns left. So happy to answer any questions if the board has them, but otherwise I turn it over to the applicant for any extra info they want to give.
No questions here, I guess. Hi, Jason.
How's everybody doing? Thanks. Jason Vafiatis, PE, working on behalf of Jacksonville Homes. And before I get started, I just would like to commend the town. It's been a while since we've done things in Freeport, and so we work in all the towns all over the place. But never have I worked with such a friendly staff and board. And you guys should know that. You do good work. Kyle does good work. And I think that it's important to note that when it's out there, because some towns can get a little contentious. So just want to, I live in Freeport, so I'm proud to say that, you guys are doing a good job.
Thanks a lot.
Not trying to butter anyone up, but just needs to be noted. So Kyle basically gave the full rundown. Just some explanation as to why the stormwater took a little soft holding is, as we saw at the site walk, the bones of the road were sort of already there. And because of such low elevation change across the site, it was really kind of hard to figure out how can we get something detained and still outlet it without impacting the wetlands, right? So we had some grade change out deep in the wetlands, but we didn't really want to disturb any of that. So after a lot of thinking, we came up with a plan. There are some sort of larger, we were looking to use infiltration, but and basically infiltration is you hold the water and it'll go into the ground, but that wouldn't work all times of the year. Groundwater table is kind of flashy out there. So we switched to bigger ponds with a small little outlet pipe at surface level where the water gets held back and released slowly, and sort of anything in there naturally will infiltrate over time, but nothing that we would model. So I think that that's going to work. They're able to landscape those so they don't really look weird. I mean, they're just kind of shallow depressions, so they'll fit in nice on the site. And I think it'll do a good job for what we need it to do. And that's basically it. Fire details, yeah, we're working on the cistern easement to get to the town to review, town staff to review, then we can record that with the recording plan. And the lawyer is working on updated HOA docs to sort of, we'll tie them specifically to site plan applications that show the grading so that there'll be a record of that can be enforced. I think that's basically it.
Any questions?
I just wanted to clarify one thing, reading the civil engineer's comments about a slope greater than 3% that might need a waiver. Is that still something under consideration, or?
So I don't think the waiver is necessary because it's on the portion of the road that's not in the subdivision. It's on the existing portion of the road. So there is no required standard there. So that standard would apply, let's say, for the new portion that they were building, or if it's a subdivision which is building an entirely new road, we would have them abide by that. And if someone was looking to deviate and, for some reason, they would be required to ask for a waiver. But in this case, the board doesn't have to apply any of the private road standards technically to that existing portion of Harper's Trail. There's just that general kind of provision that says the board should take, access and safety to the subdivision into consideration. And that's kind of the basis of how the board got to, all right, well, you should, bring the road up to the private road standard. But that doesn't mean the private road standard at a base level just applies outright. The board is sort of making that request to just meet that standard in general. So I don't think the waiver request is really necessary in this case.
Okay. But while we're on that, if we get to the point where we vote on this for final approval, I just want to repeat something that I think you agree with, but we talked about last time. That road extension that is off the subdivision property but inside of Beach Hill Road, we so far are regarding that as if you owned it. The road's going to come to town standard. Homeowners' docs are going to reflect it as if it's town standard, performance guarantee, the whole works.
Yep.
Okay,
That's all included, yep.
good, thank you.
Yeah, so I'm just
to build on that question, so I didn't notice anything about, I saw the HOA docs, but I may have just missed it in terms of the oversight of the road maintenance and plowing and things like that. Is that buried in the HOA document?
That would be in the RMA, the Road Maintenance Association document.
That's
Yeah, which
outside
is
of our purview, I believe, so.
It can be. Typically, with a subdivision application, you don't have a road maintenance association because you have a right-of-way that's in the homeowners association. So they're two separate agreements that you typically don't. With a subdivision application, usually the homeowners docs supersede any road maintenance agreement. So I think in this case, you could add a condition that the RMA get referenced into the homeowners docs because the two lots at the front are part of the road maintenance association, but can't be part of the homeowners association because they're not part of this subdivision. That the RMA has to exist still, the road maintenance. So I think that we could just reference the road maintenance agreement into the homeowners docs because the applicant has full rights of repair and traverse and I think it's on the, correct me if I'm wrong, the 4 new lots will basically be maintaining the entire road. I probably just confused you more.
I'm just wondering, is that in
It's
our
outside of
purview
our-
to?
it's
yeah,
outside.
okay. So thank
I'll
you for the
just show this detail in the plans that kind of shows these two cross-sections here are the existing portion of the road outside of the subdivision. So these are, for the first, 600 feet and then 600 feet to 1,000 feet stretch of the existing portion of the road. So this really is the part that gets you up to the start of the subdivision. And these details kind of show the improvements as recommended by that road assessment report that I referenced in the conditions of approval. And it shows, the paving on this stretch and all that.
So just to wrap it up, then I think what we're saying is the RMA you discussed isn't part of our responsibility, but might be something you want to make sure you've got covered.
Yes, yeah.
Thank you.
And then
Thanks, Jason.
just to add to that, the 3% within, I think, 75 feet of an intersection, it's not like we're at 10%, we're at like 3.1. So it's not a huge safety sort of concern here, so if that makes you feel any better.
Yeah, that's a good way to characterize it.
Question.
Yeah, I mean, it should be stated that the engineer recommended that the applicant ask for a waiver, not that they completely redo that portion because there was a incredible issue or adverse impact there. I think our peer review engineer was okay with the way it was. It was more of a procedural thing about whether it needed a waiver, or I think it just doesn't fall under the necessary kind of approval of this project.
If there's nothing else from the board now, I suggest we reopen the public hearing. That doesn't take a vote because we didn't vote out of it. But for members of the public or anyone who are here or online, the background of this particular project is this is the third appearance that they've had here. They had a concept review, a preliminary review. At the meeting last month, we also had a public hearing. And because there were open issues back then,
A site visit,
we did not
and
close.
we had a,
We did not close out that public hearing, continued it for tonight. So we'll reopen it. If there are any members of the public who have questions or comments about this agenda item, we'd ask you to come up to the lectern and let us know your name and make your comment. Is there anybody online?
No hands raised.
Okay, entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved?
Second? Lynn?
yep.
All in favor? Thank you. Any further questions or discussion about this? I feel like my concerns have been addressed. Is there a motion?
Yes, and is there a way to do it so we don't have to read the whole?
No. Let the record reflect that because Lynn isn't in the room, we have to read this whole thing.
I'm sorry.
Lynn?
Is there a motion?
Sure, I'll do it.
Okay,
I don't mind.
I should have Lynn do the
You can have,
There you go.
Dean's got it.
Proposed motion
Be it ordered that the Freeport Project Review Board approves the printed findings of fact and subdivision review for Jackson Built Incorporated for a 4-lot open space subdivision on Harper's Trail.
Dan, make sure your mic is on.
I thought it was. Do I start over?
Yes, please.
Sorry, I had a light green dim light. All right, proposed motion, be it ordered that the Freeport Project Review Board approve the printed findings of fact and subdivision review for Jackson Built Incorporated for a 4-lot open space subdivision on Harper's Trail, tax map 21, lot 84, to be built substantially as proposed, finding that it meets the standards of the Freeport subdivision ordinance with the following conditions of approval. Number 1, this approval incorporates by reference all supporting plans that amend the previously approved plans submitted by the applicant and their representatives at the Project Review Board meetings and hearings on the subject application to the extent that they are not in conflict with other stated conditions. Number 2, the applicant obtain any necessary permits from the Freeport Codes Enforcement Department and Public Works Department. Number 3, the final signed copy of the recording plan shall be recorded in the Cumberland County Registry of Deeds within 90 days of the date upon which the plan is signed. Otherwise, the plan shall become null and void. Number 4, prior to any site work, including but not limited to clearing of the site, and prior to the issuance of any building permits, the applicant do the following. Subparagraph A, enter into a maintenance agreement for a stormwater management system with the town of Freeport to be recorded in the Cumberland County Registry of Deeds with yearly stormwater reporting to the town of Freeport being required. Subparagraph B, establish a performance guarantee in the amount to cover the cost of all site work associated with the project to be based on an estimated cost breakdown of all site work reviewed by the town's peer review engineer in a form acceptable to the town attorney. The performance guarantee in accordance with Article 12.9 of the Freeport Subdivision Ordinance shall cover the cost of all site work, including the road, erosion control, stormwater management, landscaping, etc. Along with the performance guarantee, a non-refundable administrative fee at the rate established by the Freeport Town Council be paid. Subparagraph C, establish an inspection account in an amount to be determined to cover the cost of site inspections by the town's peer review engineer. Subparagraph D, the developer have a pre-construction meeting with the town planner and other staff. Subparagraph E, an easement between the applicant and the town is finalized, granting the town access to the fire cistern located on Lot 4. The responsibility for ongoing maintenance of the cistern should be clarified with input and review from the fire chief being required. Subparagraph F, the town's peer review engineer review and provide any comments on the revised stormwater management plan based on best practice and ordinance standards, and the applicant implement and any necessary changes to satisfy the peer review engineer comments. If any review comments would cause the need to alter the stormwater management plan to the point that the plans require an amendment, then the applicant would be required to come back to the project review board for additional review and approval. Subparagraph G, the homeowners association bylaws provided in the application be amended to clarify that the association is responsible for the maintenance of all stormwater management features, including those depicted on the individual subdivision lots. The bylaws should include language granting the association access to the lots for the purposes of maintaining any stormwater best management practices and require all current and future lot owners from disturbing or obstructing the best management practices. Paragraph 5, prior to the issuance of a certificate of occupancy, the fire cistern located on Lot 4 will be filled and tested by the applicant. Subparagraph 6, or paragraph 6, prior to the issuance of a certificate of occupancy, the recommendations listed in the April 20th, 2026 Canavan Road Assessment Report are completed to bring the existing road up to the subdivision ordinance standard. Paragraph 7, prior to the sale of any units, the applicant shall provide the town planner with a letter from a professional land surveyor stating that all monumentation shown on the plan has been installed. Paragraph 8, failure to initiate construction of the subdivision within 2 years of the date of approval shall render the plan null and void unless the applicant has requested in writing and received an extension and has provided for the continuation of any performance guarantees for the period of the extension prior to the expiration of the 2-year period.
Thank you, Dan. Is there a second?
Second?
Any discussion?
Second.
Any discussion? Any questions, Lynn?
Nope.
All in favor of the motion as presented? Lynn?
Aye.
Unanimous. Thank you. Thanks, Jason. Thanks, Victoria.
Thanks.
Next item is Norway Savings Bank for Design Certificate Review, presented by Jess Chadbourne.
Evening. Oh, too short for this mic. Our second applicant tonight is Norway Savings Bank. They're seeking approval for a design review certificate to change both the material and the appearance of the siding on the Norway Savings Bank building at 8 Mallet Drive. 8 Mallet Drive is in the Village Commercial 2 District. It's also located in Design Review District 1, designated as a Class C building. Currently, the exterior of the bank building is all vinyl lap siding with a 4-inch exposure. The applicant proposes to replace the existing siding with new composite materials, including water table trim, 6-inch corner boards, lap siding with a 7-inch exposure, and composite board and batten siding accents, all pre-finished. The lap siding on the lower half of the building, as you can see, will be replaced with new composite lap siding. And the existing lap siding on the upper half of the building will be replaced with the vertical composite board and batten siding. Board and batten siding will also be installed on the existing chimney stack and around the main entrance of the building where it faces Mallet Drive. Horizontal lap siding is prevalent throughout the immediate neighborhood and through much of design review. And while there are no other immediate examples of board and batten siding in the neighborhood surrounding the bank building, there are other examples in the design review district and several other non-horizontal siding variations that can be found on nearby buildings, including diagonal board siding and vertical paneling around entryways. The applicant is also proposing to install new composite faux shutters on the windows along Mallet Drive, as you can see from the rendering. Photos of the existing condition of the bank were included in the application packet, along with this set of plans detailing the locations of each of the proposed new materials. No changes are proposed to existing doors, windows, roofing, the building footprint, or the building height. The applicant is also not proposing any new exterior lighting or signage as part of this project. I'm going to let the applicant add anything that he'd like to add, and then we'd be happy to hear any questions from the board.
Thank you, Jess.
Good evening. My name is Bill McLaughlin. I'm filling in for Travis Nadeau, the architect on the project. I am an architect in training under Travis Nadeau at Platts Associates. And I'm here to answer any questions or concerns. I've also brought a sample of the material that's to be used on the project. This is a piece of the batten board material that's going on the upper half, not the color that's going on, but I kind of wanted to show that it's a substantial product. The trim pieces, the corner pieces, and the slat siding are all essentially the same substantial type product. Very durable, very low maintenance, and should hold up very well over time.
Thank you. Any questions?
I know it's not our domain to discuss color, but what color will all of this board and batten be?
It's pretty close to the colors
The
shown
blue
on the
and
elevations.
white?
Yeah, it's a blue and white.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Yes.
I had a couple questions. First of all, this is a huge improvement over the vinyl siding that's there and cures some of the proportional ills of the building itself in the way that you've treated the horizontal bottom and board and batten top sections to make the scale work better. But I was first curious about the 7-inch exposure, which sounds a little aggressive. It scales at 6 inches on the elevation itself. I don't know if that is just a sort of something that happened, or if the true intent is the 7 inches.
I believe the product itself has a 7-inch. There may be other options. If it's, found that that is too extreme, we could look at what other options that they provide.
Okay. I think that, it's definitely worth your investigation, but I don't think it's something that we would necessarily hold it up for tonight, knowing that the qualities of what you're doing are adding to the contribution of the building to its surroundings. I don't know if anyone else on the board is going to feel similarly, but before that, I'll get to my other item. One of the weird things about the building is that the wall is so tall and the windows are so diminutive, right? So I was just wondering if a way to improve the proportion of the windows would be to put a head trim across the top of the windows and make that more pronounced, and then it would I think that would just like give them a little bit more proportional advantage compared to just running this clapboard or lap siding over the top.
So you're saying instead of the vertical siding to perhaps try to give the windows a bigger profile and keep horizontal slat over the entire building?
No. Keep the materials as you've shown them, but at the windows, have a trim piece that goes across the width of the head and a little bit beyond to the sides to imply that there's a trim on the jambs, which you wouldn't see because of the shutters.
Yeah, that's definitely, when we started looking at this building, it does have, I guess you could say, a big forehead. It has a lot of wall surface above the windows.
Right.
So that was our intent with adding the other texture of material that kind of give it more texture over the whole thing and break up that full height of horizontal siding, which we feel it does pretty well here. And where the line was decided upon, it kind of springs from tying into where the arches come in from the drive-through. We're kind of trying to keep that line as high as possible, but we felt like if that line went above those arches, that it would look a little disjoined with the two different materials. So with that in mind, trying to keep that band where it is, I guess my only concern with that would be if we put a head on that, if it's going to be too close to that horizontal band that's splitting the two materials.
Okay, I see what you mean. Yeah, I kind of sketched it in on my digital copy, and it didn't seem like it was going to get in the way of things, but you guys are the architects, so.
Yeah, no, we could definitely take a look at that, and I think that's an excellent suggestion to try to, help with the issue that this building has with a lot of wall height. And I think that band could move up a little bit and give a little bit of space in there, so.
Sure, right,
okay.
right. And then the last thing I was going to ask about is the arches. There's like so much variety in the arch profiles that I was just wondering if at the entrance with the projecting roof line, if the arches on the three sides of that, you might just fill those in and make it, a horizontal trim around the edges of that and a flat soffit and kind of clean it up, I think, and be easier to build. And I think, and the signage could be bigger. I think that would be an improvement. And then the other arches, obviously, they kind of make sense in a way for what they are. Those are pass-throughs of vehicles.
Yeah, I could see that. We could definitely take a look at that. And I don't know if there's, it's not like a repeated feature for the bank that is a signature thing or anything like that. So I think we never took a look at that, but we certainly could.
The question, just so I understand it, you're talking about the arches on the end of the building facing Main Street? are you talking about all of the arches?
Just
that
this
front-
one here,
that front
and it has its equivalent,
I believe you're just talking about the
I see, you're
entrance,
talking about
correct?
okay.
yeah, just at the front entry, the main entry area.
Okay, I misunderstood. I thought you were talking about the drive-through.
No,
Yeah,
no,
I
the
do-
drive-through, I think,
Yeah.
works. Yeah.
I do see your point. It is like a completely different type of arch than the other
You
ones.
got ones that go high and ones that
Yeah.
go low, and
It's kind of like a full half circle versus the other kind of
Yeah.
more architectural arches. But,
Are you, Jason, you suggesting that that be a condition, or that they just put best efforts into it?
put best efforts.
So, yeah, so with that in mind, I would say the board could maybe add a condition that the applicant explore some of those recommendations, and if they choose to act on one of those and deviate from what's shown on the plan, that's okay. Because what I don't want is for the board to approve this with a recommendation to look into something else, then they change to that something else and have to come back because that option wasn't approved as part of this. So
Right, yeah, that
I would just add something like that.
Yep.
makes sense.
Okay. Thank you very much. Any other questions for the applicant? Any discussion? Would we entertain a motion? I'll do it.
Okay,
You ready for a motion?
yep, go for it.
So I'm going to read what's presented as the draft motion, and I'm going to add a third condition with the request, the applicant is requested to explore a larger header on the windows, a header trim on the windows, and to remove the arches, replacing them with straight horizontal details on one side of the drive-through, and that it would be, and that it's acceptable for them to do that and deviate from the plans as presented.
Except not the drive-through, the main entrance.
You're not, so that discussion wasn't about the drive-through?
Correct.
The main entrance, okay, great, thank you. Okay. Great, so presented as follows. Here's a proposed motion. To be ordered that the Freeport Project Review Board approve the printed findings of fact and design review certificate for Norway Savings Bank to make a material change to the siding of their existing building at 8 Mallet Drive, map 12, lot 31A. Find that it meets the standards of Freeport Design Review Ordinance with the following 3 conditions of approval. This approval incorporates by reference all supporting plans that amend the previously approved plans submitted by the applicant and their representatives at the Project Review Board, meetings and hearings on the subject application to the extent that they're not in conflict with other stated conditions. 2, that the applicant obtain any necessary permits from the Freeport Codes Enforcement Office. And 3, adding, as we just discussed, applicant will explore alternative trim detail above the windows and removal of the arch detail at the building entrance, and those alterations or those deviations from the plans as presented in the application packet will be acceptable. Is that okay?
Yep.
Is there a second by Jason? Any discussion? All in favor of the motion as presented? Lynn?
Aye.
Unanimous. Thank you very much. Thanks, Jess.
Thank you.
The last agenda item is a first appearance before us for a 12-lot subdivision at 1 Wardtown Road. And since there are some members of the public here, I'll just describe what the process is going to be on a major subdivision like this. This will be at least 3 meetings of review. We have concept review tonight, which is basically our review to determine that they have the acreage right, that there's a somewhat logical layout for the use of the land for a residential subdivision. The next step would be a preliminary review when the applicant feels that their application is complete in every detail. and we probably would vote tonight to have a site walk. We'll consider that at the preliminary hearing or sometime around that. There will be a public hearing at that time as well. Public hearing would be at that time as well. And then the third meeting would, at least the third meeting, when we finally have everything resolved before us, we would vote on whether we approve the project or not. But we'll only have one public hearing, but we do invite the public to speak informally at every appearance on something, so that would be possible tonight as well. Kyle, can you give us a review?
Yeah, I'll keep it pretty high level. So the site is right off Wardtown Road. You got the subdivision plan up here. The applicant submitted the kind of site analysis breakdown, where it shows the upper part of the parcel being the more developed part of the parcel, the road kind of coming straight onto the site from the northern access point off Wardtown Road over to where the lots are proposed. In general, this is be an open space subdivision in our rural residential 1 district, which is similar in the space and bulk requirements to the first subdivision that we had on the agenda tonight. So the density is, 1 unit for every 2.5 acres of land. Your average lot size across all of the lots in the subdivision would have to be an acre. The open space required needs to be 50% of the net residential acreage plus any of the unbuildable areas. So the applicant, showed all of that on their plan in the application. So, what you're talking about forward with, this meeting being a point of looking at the general viability of the site and, whether it can meet the kind of base density allowances and open space requirements of the subdivision ordinance and zoning ordinance. They've gone through that exercise, and at this point, there's no real concerns there. In terms of avoiding natural resource impacts, which is something else we look at this point, again, the primary wetland vernal pool areas that would be of greater significance are located to the south of the parcel. That's not really being impacted by this. There's a couple minor impacts, where the cul-de-sac is and the road enters the site. But by and large, the area proposed for development is free of any of those significant natural areas. And then, so I think at this point, staff didn't really have too many comments. It would be a new private dead-end road. What it shows so far in terms of widths and ending in the cul-de-sac meets, preliminary ordinance requirements. Obviously, we'll need to see more details as the preliminary application comes in. The applicant's highlighted some preliminary stormwater management areas on the site. Again, we'll do further review of all that when more detail comes in at the preliminary meeting. So there's not too much comment there. The fire chief did have one comment on this application. The concept application noted a potential water source, about half a mile away. Talking with the fire chief, I don't think he felt incredibly comfortable using that as the only means of water access for the site. So the recommendation from staff would just be that the applicant connect with the fire chief and have a kind of direct conversation to work out something ahead of the preliminary submission, rather than kind of going back and forth with me as the middle person. It's probably easier to just kind of have a quick conversation and work something out there and come back with whatever the result is. But outside of that, not much to add. I turn it over to the applicant's rep for any additional detail, and happy to answer any questions from the board or public later.
Thank you, Kyle.
All right, great. Do you think you could put it on the second page to start with? Yeah, perfect. All right. Good evening, everyone. My name is Matt Pelletier with Pterodine Consultants on behalf of Big Duck Cove LLC to present the proposed Brookdale open space subdivision located off Wartown Road for this site inventory analysis conceptual sketch review plan. The proposed design is all following the requirements outlined in the town subdivision ordinance for private road. The goal tonight is to summarize the site, the proposed layout, talk about the anticipated permits, and key design considerations for the subdivision plan. As stated before, the project is located off Wartown Road, map 21, lot 21. The parcel contains approximately 34.621 acres in the rural residential 1 zoning district and is within the Frost Gully Brook watershed, which is designated by Maine DEP as a urban impaired stream. The land is mostly forested. There's some cleared meadow area closer to Wartown Road, and there are 2 areas to access the site. As you can see, there's like a northern portion, and then there's a southern portion. The northern one is where we're proposing the subdivision road when we get to the concept. The site generally slopes from the northwest corner south and southeast. Most of it goes towards the southeast, but there is a pocket with some ridges that kind of goes to that wetland complex where the significant vernal pool is, and some of it does drain in that direction. We had Basswood Environmental complete a wetland delineation and vernal pool survey in May 2026. You found approximately 2.17 acres of wetlands, primarily again in the southern and eastern portions of the site, not in the northern portion where we're proposing most of the work. There are streams associated with those wetland complexes, some of them intermittent, but there is a larger stream that runs north and south that crosses underneath Wartown Road and then goes south. Again, it's at the eastern portion of the site. There are also approximately 0.68 acres of steep slopes, and we've identified that as the kind of the orange color, mostly associated with the embankment of the stream, but there's also like a little ridge area closer to the vernal pool where there's some steep slopes. And as well, like we've mentioned, significant vernal pool. We are still confirming the status of that. We're assuming it's significant based on the wetland delineation, but that has to go through IF&W, and they'll make the final determination, which we've sent letters to the major agencies, IF&W, Maine Natural Areas Program, and MHPC, which is the Maine Historic Preservation. So we've sent those letters and still waiting responses. Can you go to the actual concept? Thank you. So this is the proposed subdivision, 12 lots, residential. There'll be a single-family lot in each one. They'll be developed by the applicant. So we'll build the road and build the houses, including all the impervious area and developed area associated with it. Again, access will be on the northern section of Wartown Road. We'll require a entrance permit from the town, but because this is in a urban compact zone limit, their main DOT permit, entrance permit, is not required for this location. This will be a proposed private road, and it'll be called Brookdale Farm Road, and it meets all the requirements for the private road standards in the subdivision ordinance. It'll be approximately 1,035 feet long and end in a cul-de-sac. It'll have 9-foot travel lanes and 2-foot gravel shoulders. Each lot it will be approximately or greater than 1 acre each, which meets the minimum requirement for this district of having a minimum 1 acre size lot. So they're all above an acre, so we meet that requirement as well. All in the northern portion again. Just want to reiterate that. So we're putting most of the wetlands, streams, significant vernal pool in the open space that we are proposing, so they can be protected. In this area for the open space, we're required to provide 17.96 acres, and we're providing 19.56 acres. So we're meeting that standard quite a bit. We had some initial soil work done. Mark Hampton Associates did a first pass out there and provided a letter in your packet saying that the soil, they believe the soil is viable for test pits for septic systems. We'll do more preliminary design, and septic design when we get to the preliminary phase. But right now, there's no concerns with the viability of the soil. Each lot proposed is served by individual wells. We've also shown the 100-foot exclusion zones, which is required for septic systems and wells on a lot, to show that we can get, every lot can get a septic system and a well on the same one. Electric service is available along Wharton Road, and we're proposing to extend to underground for access to the subdivision. Like Kyle mentioned, we provided a figure showing a water source within half a mile, which was outlined in the submission that we needed to identify. I saw the correspondence back and forth. The fire chief recommended sprinkling or cisterns, and of course, in the preliminary phase, we'll have discussions with him and kind of determine what the best path is forward and what our client would like to do. Stormwater runoff will be managed on site through stormwater BMPs. We're showing some general areas where we think they could be, but we have not gotten into design yet. We still have to work on that, so that'll be coming up. But the goal is to maintain most of the existing drainage pattern. I mean, everything is kind of going south, southeast, so I don't think we're going to be sending stormwater in a place where it's not supposed to go. It'll just be treated and detained for flood control and main DEP standards, which is required. Overall, the site will have 2.79 acres of impervious and 8.5 acres of developed area. And again, that includes the lot developed area because the client is also the builder of the houses. So we have to take into account the house lot impervious and developed as well as the road lot impervious and developed. So we'll have to treat that as well. And this will require a stormwater permit through DEP, which is like the middle level permit. Sometimes you have like a NERPA stormwater permit, or a PBR stormwater permit, and then stormwater, there's regular stormwater permits in the middle, and then the next step is a site law, which is the biggest one. We only anticipate a regular stormwater permit. There'll be 2 natural resource impacts, as Kyle stated. We'll have a stream crossing in the beginning. That's where the stream starts. There's no way of getting around that. And then there's an isolated wetland in the middle that is forested. It doesn't connect to any of the important natural resources, just kind of there. The cul-de-sac's going to go right through it, so we're going to have approximately 8,900 square feet of impacts to the wetland. And that will require a Natural Resource Protection Act permit as well. But the other impacts associated with the significant vulnerable, which has a 250-foot setback, and any wetlands of special significance, which are tied to the significant vernal pool, which extends quite a bit far, 750 feet, according to some new DEP rulings. We're not impacting those setbacks at all. So we're really trying to maintain the fact that we're not impacting those important natural resources. Just to kind of give the overall summary of like the permits that we need to get. We need a stormwater permit, as I mentioned. We'll have a permit by rule for the stream crossing. We'll have a main constructional general permit, which is a permit that used to be associated, it used to be a checkbox on a stormwater permit, and then it would just be taken care of by the contractor or separately by us. But DEP has changed how they do their process with their new online system, and now that's something that they're requiring separately, which is something that's always been done and has to do with erosion control and the right for the start of construction, so that everything's being built properly. So that's something that's always been, but that's something that maybe some people haven't always seen. We'll also have a NERPA Tier 1 permit due to the wetland impacts, and then we'll have a U.S. Army Corps of Engineer permit that we'll have to go through as well. So quite a bit of regulatory permits we have to go through, which is not unusual for where this is and the environmental resources and the impacts that we're showing. Traffic and site distance. The subdivision is expected to generate between 17 a.m. peak hour trips and 15 p.m. peak hour trips. So I don't expect any traffic impacts as a result of this. The area around where our entrance is 40 miles an hour, which requires a 275-foot site distance. We have 1,000 feet looking north, and we have 750 feet looking south. I don't expect an issue with site distance. And finally, homeowners association is anticipated for road maintenance, stormwater BMP maintenance, and all the shared infrastructure. So that'll be in the homeowners docs, which again will come later, not at this meeting. We'll provide the draft HOA, as well as how we're treating the open space, if it's conservation or not. We're still kind of working through that internally, but that will come in the preliminary application. overall, I mean, the goal of this plan, develop in the north, protect everything in the south. So I think we've done that pretty well. And with that, I'll take any questions.
Any questions for the applicant? Go ahead, Jason.
I'm just going to ask if it looks like, in terms of the tree line that exists today, the development area is, for the most part, in the woods.
Yes.
And where your road crosses to make its way uphill into the site is the only thing that really kind of shows.
Jason, is your mic on?
Sorry. Yeah, it's on, I guess.
Oh,
it's
it might be
close
just
enough to
being
it.
blocked, yeah.
So I just wanted to clarify if that's the correct understanding of that.
Yeah. So the intention, and I think we had a butter or one of the gentlemen, I believe this direct butter, kind of a request that we didn't have a lot shown in the field, that it was kind of hidden in the back. So that was the intention, is to have sort of the development of the trees, maintain some tree line. There may be like a stormwater BMP that's visible, but the idea was to kind of put it back into the tree line.
Yeah, which seems like one of the strong approaches to the open space concept is maintaining things of value and sight lines and agrarian character. So that seems like a good move.
Thank you.
Small question.
Yes.
Have you given enough thought to how you're going to achieve the crossing of the stream? Or is that just going to be culvert? Are you going to be putting a small box culvert in there? Are you going to bridge it? What are you thinking?
We haven't gotten to the design of what that's going to look like. We are close to a culvert across Wardtown Road. We're very close to that, so it depends on what the angle we come in. We do have 100 feet to work with, so we're going to start playing with what the best solution is, reduce the number of wetland impacts. But generally, you have to maintain the stream bank underneath, so just putting in a regular culvert is usually not satisfactory into DEP or Army Corps. You usually have to maintain that, so it might be a larger open bottom culvert. It could be a box culvert. It could be a bridge, but we haven't really explored that yet, so that's something we're going to get into.
Matt, when you say you have 100 feet to work with, what do you mean?
So that width right there is 100 feet. So
The property line to property line.
I see,
yeah,
okay.
so we can shift the road right away to kind of play with what the best alignment is. But that was just in the middle. That's where we wanted to show it now. But that could shift.
Great. Other questions? Thank you. I have a question about the pool, which you suspect is a significant vernal pool. Your design anticipates that?
To the bottom, yes. That is a significant vernal pool.
And I thought it was a 250-foot setback, but you said something about 750?
So new DEP rules, any wetlands that are within that 750-foot setback of setback is probably not the right word. Any wetlands within 750 feet are now considered a wetland of special significance and carry a 75-foot setback.
A wetland within 750 feet of a significant vernal pool?
Yeah. Yeah, so it's a little confusing and convoluted, but essentially wetlands that you might be able to see it if you zoom in. Right, you can kind of see
I see what you're talking about.
a little, yeah, there we go. So 750 feet is quite a bit. So new DEP rules, all those wetlands would be WASs, wetlands of special significance, and they would carry that setback. So we made sure to have our development area outside of that as well. You can often, reduce that setback width with permitting, but we don't have to worry about that here. We're not even going to touch it.
One of our approval criteria is that you have to have adequate domestic water supply in each lot.
Yep.
You'll have a well driller go in and do a test, or how are you going to address that?
Yeah, we'll make sure we have adequate water supply. We're not sure. I'm not exactly sure when we'll do that, but we'll make sure with it we have adequate water supply.
How do we handle that? I'm sorry. How do we make an approval, if this gets final approval, make an approval subject to them having adequate water supply, or we require it before we?
No, it's shown in the application.
Okay, so you bring that forward then?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, great. And when do you think you would be back with preliminary?
I think we were aiming for like a September, October timeframe. We still have to get into the permitting aspect, but I think that's what we were aiming for at this time.
Okay, September is before hunting season, if that, because we probably will want to do a site walk. That's the board's decision, but we always do a site walk for major.
Yeah, I mean, I think if the board wants to do a sidewalk, then yeah, I think. And if I recall, do you do it before preliminary, or do you do it after preliminary, the sidewalk?
It can be either side, but we usually do it, we typically schedule it right before a meeting, you know, at
Gotcha.
5 o'clock before a 6 o'clock meeting.
Yeah, just wear lots of orange, I guess.
That's right.
Any other questions before we give the chance?
Just one out of curiosity. Your lot sizes are very close to one another in size and consistency.
Yep.
You don't see that often. What's your secret trick for getting them all to be like?
Guess and check. I think it started. They were a little bit more spread out in the bottom, but once we learned that one of the abutters, we kind of wanted to get it out of the field, it just kind of fell into place to kind of get a consistent width, and to kind of make it that way. I mean, lot 1 is probably the outlier, other than the ones that are around the cul-de-sac, because that's just kind of how it works. But no, I appreciate the compliment. I had to get to
Seems
work.
like just like a remarkable feat of probably like looking at it over and over again to get.
Yeah.
Another criteria, approval criteria for us that we don't usually drill into too much is to make sure that the applicant has the technical capability to execute the project.
Yep.
This applicant has done projects before?
Yes.
Is this the John Libby who is the post and beam John Libby?
No.
Okay, but you've done projects, but done projects before?
Yes. Oh, yeah. 100%. Yep.
Great.
I think it's the same developer at the end of Pleasant Hill Road going into Brunswick on the right, Village of Brunswick or whatever it's called. It's brand new. It's where Baraboo T-bones into Pleasant Hill.
I'll take that. Good, thank you.
Okay. But yes, we do. We've done quite a few projects,
Great.
including actually the Pleasant Hill one, and I've done one off Route 1 in Freeport. So done quite a few.
Good, thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions for the applicant? Again, this is not the formal public hearing, but we invite public comment. Does anyone have any questions or comments? Come up and state your name and let us know where you live, please.
Bonnie Thurber, Bonnie Fraser. My mom, Evelyn Fraser, 11 Wardtown Road. We just had a few questions in regards actually to water, because there's been times that the well has gone dry in the past. How is that going to affect, the homes in that area? Because where all those homes are, that slopes down, so the water that goes to 11 Wardtown Road, I would think, would be coming from up there. Somebody had said about making sure there was adequate water. Is that something that would be looked into?
It is, and if you're new at this, for anyone who has not been through this process a number of times, I'd be happy to list through the findings that we need to go through to.
I'm sure you have adequate. Yeah, I can imagine.
Okay, so we have a list of things like traffic and make sure there's no
Which they
pollution.
have
Make sure there's no runoff from this property that would affect an abutter, and then one of them is water. They have to present evidence to us that there will be adequate water on each lot. They need to then guarantee it when they sell the lot. And they also can't do anything which would affect the groundwater to the detriment of abutters.
Environmental protection, are they involved because of all the stuff in that area?
Go ahead and answer that.
Yeah, so a bunch of the permits that the applicant just listed that they have to obtain through DEP and Army Corps, that goes into some of the impacts that they have to the smaller wetland areas. But then obviously they're trying to stay away from more significant permitting through them by avoiding the more southern portion where there's more environmental resources down in that area.
Right.
But part of the application, like they mentioned, is reaching out to state agencies per letters and statements that no significant wildlife habitats are being impacted, no rare plant communities are being impacted, those sorts of things. So that is part of, kind of baked into the findings that the board makes.
when they pull up that photo that they were showing, are you able to, you know what it looks like there, right?
I can
So,
bring it
like,
up.
Are you able to tell me, like, so like where, our property is, can something be done, can a request go in? If you're putting the road right there, when people are gonna be turning at night, can something be put there, to have any kind of, block of
Madam-
lighting?
We were thinking maybe,
Can I ask you to come to the mic? And can you explain it sounds like this is a lights into a window situation. Can
Well,
someone
I'm just
explain?
wondering, I have other questions as well, but I was just going to ask, because, that's all woods over there. Then there's the field and whatnot. So, of course, we've been there over, whatever years. There's been all those trees and stuff, so.
Yeah, so,
about that.
John Libby, applicant. Yeah, so we kind of thought about, obviously, this is just a preliminary, we haven't got anything. But thinking we'd maybe do some row of buffering of trees right at the entrance there, so anybody coming from the south turning in there wouldn't, it would minimize any of that, as far as we could.
And then as for the, right, where the house is there at 11 Wartown Road, where the field is there, and looking at that, how far back is like that first?
The first what?
Here's the house.
Yep.
Like, this open space, is that a lot of the field area right there?
Yeah, I think this area, this right here, this is the field. That kind of goes up and then kind of around. This is all trees, so your house is in the opening. And then you got tree lines here, it goes back and then down through.
So this right here, what is?
Bonnie, you got to stay near the mic
Everything
for us.
should go into the mic, because we're recording it.
What is this part right here? Like, right there?
Point to it.
So that's gonna be the entrance.
Yep.
And then there's a brook that runs right there, I think. I'm just trying to look to see how that works, like, how far back is that?
How many feet? Geez, I don't know. You've got-
But there'll be no home, like, I guess it's irrelevant because it's your property.
So I'll just kind of give you a quick rundown. So, yeah, we do have the stream brook right here. There's a culvert that comes across here. We're providing a 25-foot buffer currently between there. Is this what you were talking about? That, I guess, I couldn't see what you were pointing at.
What's that right there?
So that might be a potential stormwater B&P. So it could be like a rain garden, which is just like a little pool with like plants in it. It could be something like that. There's a number of different things it could be. But the idea is that there's going to be a 25-foot buffer that we're showing along where we have the lots. So that would be maintained trees. So hopefully it reduces any impacts you see or hear from the development.
And then all the wooded area here of the property, so there'd be a 25-foot buffer here?
25-foot buffer from the edge of our property line. So
Right.
the bold line.
So all our trees won't be bothered?
No, we won't be touching your trees. There's been a lot of high-profile cases of trees being cut on other people's property. That's not our intention.
I mean, this is taking away like everything of my whole upbringing in Freeport.
Bonnie, one thing that might help you getting oriented on the face of the earth, we'll do a site walk. And when we're there, the applicant, but when we go there, the applicant will have laid out the center line of the road so we know where the road is. And they'll lay out where each lot comes to the road. So you'll get a sense of where those are, and we can actually anticipate where areas will be cut for the trees.
So just for a little scale on distance, so where I think your house is here, I mean, if you just measure the distance of the road between kind of the back of your house and the start of, the first house that's kind of proposed here in that location, it's probably like 300-ish feet of distance between the two.
And Matt and John, you've run into this in other towns as well. We're really sensitive to the concerns of abutters when it comes to buffering, so just put that into your thinking, your planning.
I'm sure they do. I mean, it just, all the deer, everything out there is going to be gone. Everything. I understand, people bringing in new homes and whatnot, but it's hard.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Yeah. Anyone online?
Yeah, there's one hand online. Ethan, I'm going to allow you to talk.
Ethan, give us your name and address before you ask your question, please.
Hi there, can you hear me?
Yep.
All right, so my name is Ethan Gilmet at 8 Wardtown Road.
Yep, great, go ahead.
All right, so my wife and I live here on Wardtown, and we just want to echo the concerns of 11 Wardtown, especially considering we are on a dug well, so we're a lot more susceptible to droughts than anyone on drilled wells. So we're just, concerned about the water supply and the water table, since 12 lots is kind of a lot to add to this area.
And you're asking that precautions be taken in that regard, Ethan?
Correct.
Again, back to the, we are going to be addressing this, Matt, so I think for you to be equipped to answer my question and Ethan's would be helpful at the next meeting.
Yep.
Okay,
Great, thank you.
appreciate it.
Anybody else from the public have any questions or comments?
There'll be more meetings on this, correct?
There'll be at least 2 more meetings, and if you check in with Kyle, you can go online and see all the submission materials when they come in, and Kyle will be happy to answer questions, because as you heard, this is the friendliest planning department.
I live in Yarmouth as
Oh.
well. I own a home there.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure, you got a notice in the mail for this meeting?
Yes.
Yeah, so before any of the site walks and meetings, you'll get another card in the mail.
And I was just going to add that if you want to understand all of the things Ford started to allude to, it's in the Freeport subdivision ordinance, which is also online. So if you want to see all those criteria we'll be going through, that might be helpful too.
Any other questions for Matt? Oh, you have something else for us?
I do. I just want to kind of reiterate the comment about the buffering. We're providing that buffering, 25-foot buffering all the way around the lots, and these lots will be cleared in a way. We're not clear cutting 1 acre. I just want to be very clear that that's not what the intention of this project is. Be clearing to allow driveways, some lawn areas. They're very specific areas that we must meet with DEP for when we get into the permitting that we have to identify and treat. These won't be clear cut, so there will be more buffering because there are also setbacks within the lots themselves, not necessarily clearing setbacks, but it won't look like a barren wasteland. It will. The idea is to make it a nice neighborhood. So I just wanted to reiterate that.
Well, you know where at least one abutter lives who's expressed concern.
Yeah, I do. That's
Good.
okay.
Thank you very much. Anything else on this? There is. We don't have a motion on this. Yeah, so when they come back in, when you're going to come back in, let Kyle know, and he'll reach out to us to have a site walk probably that night. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's good.
And for those of you who are
We don't
with
have
interest,
a motion on.
that site walk is a public event, so you will know when that's going to happen, and if you'd like to come and walk with us on that, and so we can ask questions and watch them show us where things are going to be on the property, that's an opportunity.
I'm
Yep.
sure it's going to be beautiful. New home, beautiful. That's the only positive, not the only,
If you want
Thank
deer,
you.
if you want deer there, by the way, just have me plant some zucchini nearby, because apparently wherever I do that, no matter how high my fence is, the deer will be there.
Our hostess.
Good. Is there anything else on any other agenda items? Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Thank you, everybody.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.